Welcome to the program. It is Cooper Mays, the Vol Report, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, City Heat and Air. And the Vols were hot. CityHeatandAir.com. Red hot in Neyland Stadium, setting records left and right. That hot. Coop, have you ever been a part of the thumping that you guys laid on Kent State, a game that's that one-sided?
No, I don't think so. To be truthful, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Probably
Did
my first time.
when when did you kind of realize that it could go that direction?
Um, we scored like 30 points in 4 minutes, so that was around that 4 minute mark, probably around then.
So no, and I want to get to a lot of things. I want to talk about Deshaun Bishop in particular and Josh Heupel returning to Oklahoma. But did you see anything on tape last week that would have led you to believe that it would be as one-sided as it was?
No, more. It's just all about how we prepare. Like Coach Heupel talks about it, but if we come out there and do what we need to do and be professionals and take care of business throughout the week and prepare the right way, then we'll have a pretty good game.
You know that you're supposed to overlook games like that. Notre Dame's done it this year. Georgia almost did it on Saturday against Kentucky. Why does this team not overlook games that other teams have this year?
I would probably say we preach stuff like that all the time. Like that's all we talked about this week is what I basically just went over about how we prepare and everything. That's probably the biggest reason why.
How much of it's maturity? You guys are an old team, relatively speaking.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. We probably a little bit, but it's just we're we have stuff that we harp on every day, and nobody lets you really forget about it. They kind of hammer stuff home pretty decently, and that's been the main one this whole week. So if we didn't come out here and operate the way we needed to, and we'd be pretty messed up.
Yeah. Well, you did a fantastic job. Before I have a question about Nico Iamaleava, more asserting himself as a leader and emerging as a leader. Do you want to hear some of the records that you set?
For sure.
Oh,
For sure.
he's worn out. I appreciate you joining me.
For sure.
Uh, Most points scored in Neyland Stadium history. Most points in history in a first quarter, 37. It was previously 35. Vols scored most points in a half and in a game in the history of the modern era. The AP poll dates back to 1936. That's crazy historic, isn't it?
That's a long time. That's a lot of that's a lot of time to do something that's the best. I for sure. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Got a lot of stuff to work on though.
uh, okay. Well, I know you. I'm sure you do, and there are bigger opponents down the line, tougher opponents down the line, and we shall discuss them. I did want to, especially Oklahoma coming up, but I wanted to ask you because this is an older team, a more mature team, but yet you have a redshirt freshman as your quarterback. How would you describe him as an emerging leader? Like I wouldn't expect him to be the rah guy right now with guys like you and the other leaders that are on this team. But how would you describe him as a leader as he kind of ascends the leadership ladder, so to speak?
I would just say he's steady and consistent. That's really all you can ask out of somebody, especially his age. It's really hard for an 18, 19-year-old kid to stand up in front of 22 and 23-year-olds that have been doing this for years and years and kind of take control of that. So and just that's kind of not really the guy he is. He's not a rah rah guy. Like he's just by nature he's a kind of more quieter and a humble kid, and so he's been learning to kind of work through stuff like that. But at the same time, he's being all that we need out of him, and that's just the same guy every day. And people respect that whether you're loud or not about it.
I hate asking this question because you were so high on Nico throughout the whole time that we've talked in the off season. But has he done anything that surprised you that you're like, that's beyond a redshirt freshman?
I don't know even about like that's beyond the redshirt freshman, but just a lot of the throws he makes, man, like especially over the middle where, we're on play action in the backfield and you got some linebackers that step up, but then they realize this pass and they drop out. Him having the touch to drop it over the linebackers over the middle, and then, just all around, he's got a lot of talent. So he's doing some really cool stuff.
It's pretty good. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for the latest on the Ball Report with Cooper Mays. Brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. We're going to talk about going to Oklahoma and a specific guy from Knoxville that I want to ask about. And just want to remind you that City Heating and Air Conditioning, 50 years in East Tennessee, integrity matters. And other HVAC companies might show up and say, you need a whole new unit, which could cost tens of thousands. Or you can call City Heating and Air Conditioning. If you need a new unit, they'll tell you, but it'll be affordably priced. And if you just need some more coolant or just a part, they'll do that for you. Coop, you're from Knoxville. I'm from Knoxville. We both know what Carnes football has been for a number of years. That's where Deshaun Bishop's from. They've struggled. So I'll be honest with you. When I first heard that Tennessee's taken a player out of Carnes, I was a little bit surprised. If you can just discuss his growth since he's been at UT, because now he's a guy you can lean on.
Yeah, no doubt. He's done a really, really good job. Been everything that we've asked out of him, as a team, and I'm sure the coaches agree. I mean, I'm not in those meetings, but I mean, he's done so good and really probably outperformed any expectations that anybody really had for him. But he's a guy that, yeah, he came out of Carnes, but I don't think people really realize this. He's like the national leader in career yards or something like that. I think he beat Derrick Henry's yard record for high school football. So, I mean, he's been a dude for a minute. I've known about him all the way since I think in middle school, honestly. I was hearing about him a little bit in Knoxville. So he's done a really, really good job for us, and, super, super happy for how he's done.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. When did you kind of realize that he belonged at this level, at the SEC level?
This fall camp, probably. Last fall camp, I think, well, I was injured, so I didn't see anything, but I think he got injured during fall camp as well. And he was just a freshman, so nobody, no matter how good you are, really belongs as a freshman, usually. But so seeing kind of his growth and how he helps in pass pro too, he's saved a lot of our butts in fall camp, stepping up and taking care of us. So he's done a lot of really good stuff, and he's gonna be good for us.
Just watching from afar, I don't see the game like you do, but I see Bishop and Sampson being very good in pass pro so far this year. Am I seeing that right?
For sure, I would agree. I mean, yes, they're doing good in pass pro, but I think what also they've done really well is, on their way out, getting into their routes, I mean, the term is like scratch where it itches. You know what I'm saying? So wherever in the protection they feel like there's weakness or somebody's getting beat, they're always super quick to step up and help clean it up for us and, save us when we're in a bad spot. So they've done really good stuff in pass pro, but they've done extra stuff that just stays completely out of the books and nobody really realizes it. But they've saved a couple of sacks, I'm sure, throughout the past 3 games, like doing some really good stuff.
We've talked about this before. It's still pinned on your Twitter X, whatever we're supposed to call it now, page. And that is quote, too small, not an SEC top player, don't want, we can get a lot better. And you say, keep counting me out, but I'm going to make all of y'all eat your words. Now you're second team All American, but it wasn't always roses. And I'm curious, has there ever been a time where you as a player were either cut from a team, didn't get the starting position, or something along those lines, a negative moment that you can look back on in your football career?
I would probably say my junior year of high school, I was like 240 pounds at the end of my junior football season. So I was too small to play. Like I was probably at that point. I was not probably. I was too small to play like O line anywhere. But a lot of teams kind of dropped out of recruiting me and stopped recruiting me because they never thought that I would kind of develop into what I was going to be. And yeah, that's probably the closest I've ever been to that for sure.
Well, I ask you that because Josh Heupel was fired by Oklahoma as their offensive coordinator. It's been about 10 years ago. And I'm curious how you think he might still use that as motivation, because obviously you've used doubters as motivation.
Right. Yeah. I've never really talked to Hype about that or that whole situation or anything. I wasn't even aware really. I don't. That's a little bit before my time, but yeah, I'm sure. I mean, everybody uses different things to fuel them and fire them. I don't really know what he does, but yeah. I mean, there's gonna be stuff that happens to you all throughout life. You know, you're gonna fall down. You're gonna have people push you down. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, life's coming from you and not at you. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I'll give you a little background. He was treated really unfairly, just being completely objective. And uh, at the time, Bob Stoops had to make a change and kept his brother on the staff, but had to make a change to keep his job. So I thought it was a terrible move at the time, and I look back at it, it's even worse. Is there part of you that wants to go out and play any harder, the prove a point, to play for your coach in this regard when he goes back to his home spot?
No, I haven't really thought about that. It's pretty high up there. You know, we're right here, and that's like atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot. I'm just trying to be Oklahoma, man. I don't really care how it happens, what emotions anybody else has about it. I just want to win, man. That's who cares. Who cares about all that extra stuff?
So, I mean, you knew he was at Oklahoma. Has he ever talked about his time at Oklahoma?
No, not to me. He, I don't know, man. We don't. We got so much stuff going on, man. Like I know it sounds like I'm like BSing you and stuff, but like we got so much shit going on, man. I mean, we can't.
I hear
Uh,
you.
you know.
You're not looking up old press clippings about Josh Heupel, in other words.
No, I mean I know he won an Natty there. I know he played there, but I di- I knew he coached there for a couple years, but I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know anything.
Uh, how emotional do you think that would be? I mean, put yourself in that position. If you were a coach coming back coaching against Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean that probably would make me a little bit more emotional. Maybe I don't really get emotional personally, but yeah, I mean that could light a fire, I guess.
Now,
Extra motivation to stay in longer, I guess.
now when you talk about things to clean up on, and I don't want anything specific that's going to help the opposing team, Oklahoma or anybody else, but when you talk about things to clean up, I'm curious. What are some of those things? Because I see 71-0 and I'm like, everything's darn perfect.
Yeah, well, that's what gets you in trouble because you
Okay.
know it's not. You know, we're not. I mean, like this, it is good. I mean, it's all about perspective. Like we're not close. Like we're not operating at the level that we can even. Like we're not scratching the surface yet. Like we've got. Like we can be so much cleaner and operate so much more efficiently. Starting with me, like there's a lot of stuff that we can do better, and you know, it doesn't show up maybe in games like this, but you know, in ones like the next week, and you know, keeping on down the season it'll show up. So we got to continue to get better each week in practice. It's the biggest fight of our lives right now.
You say scratching the biggest fight of our lives. That's a great line. You said just scratching the surface. Now don't get when you laughing. Are you laughing at me? That was a good line.
No, it was a good line. I feel like that. It was a good line. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's strong. I was I had to stop and think about that for a second. Don't give me any secrets. Like the week before the North Carolina State, don't tell me about 12 personnel. Okay, but this offense, you say scratch the surface. Schematically, how much more is out there that maybe we haven't even seen?
I mean, it. I mean, we're still playing football at the end of the day. It's not like we're about to move mountains or anything, but you can do different stuff each week that just fine tweaks and tunes to the stuff you're already doing that everybody does in college football anyway, I guess. So it doesn't really matter about that. I'm just saying more like not schematically like changing. I'm just saying let's get better at what we're doing already schematically. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. So,
There's a lot of plays out there where, we got five and there's 11, or we ran for one, but there was six out there. There's different plays, and it's all because one person out of 11 did the wrong thing. And that's me included. Man,
but look,
always.
but let me ask you this. I mean, you would have to, I would think you would have to say, would you agree that you guys are playing at a higher level in September as far as those things than you ever have before?
Uh, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I guess so. I guess we're playing at the best level since 1936 or something. Whatever you said. That's when the AP started. I guess so. So I don't know. I don't know. All I know is we'll go in there and we'll figure out how to get better Monday or tomorrow.
Nice. Now, I know, last thing for you, I'm going to let you out of here. The Vol Report brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Integrity matters. 50 years in East Tennessee. cityheatandair.com. Have you counted up how many plays you played or how much you've played? Because you've been able to come out of the game pretty early. And I'm just curious how you feel, how fresh you feel, given that you've been able to exit the game a little bit early.
Yeah, I haven't calculated it up, but I feel pretty good, man. I mean, you can't get much better than what we have been as far as getting us out early and whatever. I mean, you can't complain.
Absolutely. Great stuff. He's Cooper Mays. I'm Dave Hooker. This is the Vol Report brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com, a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.